Welcome to another episode of Blueblood on the Mainline. I'm your host, Jason Fraser. We have our next interview with Maalik Wayns, which is a good one. But before we get started, let's hear a message from our sponsor, DraftKings. The 2021 basketball season is here. The teams around the league took the offseason to retool, revamp, and are ready to hit the court. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, has rolled out another one of their can't-miss offers. Trying DraftKings Sportsbook is easy, so what are you waiting for? Get in on all the action right now. To celebrate the return of basketball, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new players 100-1 on any feature matchups this week. That's right. All you have to do is be and bet $1 on any feature matchup this week. And if your team wins, you cash a crisp $100. While we're all excited for the return of basketball, let's not forget football playoffs are right around the corner. So head to the app right now to check out all the DraftKings daily odds boosts. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code FILLED68 when you sign up to get one of the 100-1 odds on any feature matchup this week. That's code FILL68 for new players to get a shot at $101 on any featured matchup this week for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older for those who live in New Jersey, Indiana, or PA only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
All right, Jason, Villanova gets a convincing win over St. Joe's in the Big Five game. You're someone who played in these games. There's bitter rivalries. It's always tougher than it looks, no matter the records. What was your takeaway from a very good win for the Villanova Wildcats?
I came away very enthusiastic about our efforts and where we're heading as a team. Being that we were highly ranked in the nation, and St. Joe's haven't won a game yet, it's easy to think that you're going to come in and steamroll a team. However, St. Joe's, they wanted to get their first win of the season, also to get one against a top 10 team, which would have been huge for them, and they were not going away. Even though we had a convincing win, that margin of victory didn't really take place until the second part of the second half. And we kept on fighting. We didn't do anything different. Every time St. Joe's hit a three or tried to get the lead below 10, we would answer right back. And we kept going until we broke their will.
You played in a lot of these games against the LaSalles and the St. Joe's and the Temples and UPenn. I know we talked about it. You'll hear some stories, and we heard some on the last podcast about them yelling at you when you had a broken leg and all these funny stories. But what is it like as a player in these games with the passionate fans and the intense rivalries? What's it like to play in a Big Five game?
Imagine you have your summer get-together, your family reunion, or any kind of holiday, sacred family traditions. And the pressure that you have to be successful doing that, or when you're competing against your uncle or your sibling or anyone else in the family, it's just a little bit different. The intensity level is a lot higher. You refuse to lose because it's all about bragging rights. It's all about missed opportunities if you do lose, and the level of play and confidence on both ends makes the game very difficult on both sides, and meaning regardless of which team you're on. So you may have someone who is really not a big time scorer, but hey, just like how anyone who's listening who has a sibling, when you play against that sibling, you're going to give it your all. You're going to play with all the confidence in the world, and that's how Big Five games are.
Well, I know that your interviewee this week also had much experience in the Big Five as well, Maalik Wayns. Kind of let the people know what you should be so excited for about this podcast coming up.
Maalik did so much growing from high school to where he is as a man and giving back into his community to the level that he is. And anyone who is a Philly fan, anyone who's a Big Five fan, Anybody who is a Villanova fan, and if you're a basketball fan in general, you don't want to miss this one. He covers so much on the history, the culture, the environment of Villanova University, the branding of it, but more importantly, how he talked about the NBA and the levels of organization and professionalism, playing with some of the greatest players ever played. Namely, he was there with Lob City, and he talked about with CP3, talk about being around Jrue Holiday, Grant Hill, Antoine Jameson. I could keep going on and on about the names that he played with and how it affected his life. But most importantly, again, if you're someone who cares about East Coast basketball or the game of basketball, and especially if you're in Philadelphia or the Northeast area, you want to hear this one.
Well, let's go ahead and send it that way. Here's our conversation between Jason Fraser and the Villanova great Maalik Wayns.
Maalik Wayns, 2009 McDonald's All-American, Villanova legend, NBA pro for multiple years. And then also outside of all of that, you're a great father and you're a great person. And you know, it's been great to always stay connected with you over the years. But welcome to Blueblood on the Mainline. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, Jay. I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk with you, a legend like yourself. You the original Villanova 5-star legend. You know what I mean? So it's a pleasure to come talk to you, man. And I was following your journey. You've been coaching and things you've been doing. Just, you know what I mean, spiritual things that you kick out there. Like, I've been paying attention to it all, man. I'm just excited to chop it up with you like this.
Man, thank you, man. It's truly a pleasure to have you on the show. All right, so I always like to start off with this. I like to always look at different backstories or different perspective of different things. So take us back to 2009. You're at Roman Catholic, which is a legendary school, and you're McDonald's All-American. And right before all of that, you're deciding which school you're going to go to. Why did Villanova stand out to you?
Well, honestly, for me, it was a weird situation because I committed as a sophomore. I verbally committed to Villanova as a sophomore. And I just grew up like watching Villanova. My dad was a big Villanova fan. Like, he loved like Ed Pinckney. Like, that was his favorite team. Like, before I was even thought about, you know what I mean, getting recruited and things like that. And then obviously Kyle Lowry was from there. Alvin Williams went there. So it was really just like a dream school. And once it started happening, I started getting recruited and they offered me, I kind of like really didn't even think about, you know what I mean, nowhere else. I kind of had my eyes set on there, 10th grade, and I just followed through with it.
So that's so big. You said a few things there that only diehard Villanovans will really understand. Coming from the Philadelphia area, we knew that you had Villanova, but you had St. Joe's, you had Temple, had some real good squads over the years, and then for your dad, and amongst other schools as well. But with Temple and John Chaney and all the different runs that he had, for your dad to be a fan of Villanova is huge. But also, you said two different things. You mentioned Alvin Williams, but you being younger, I would imagine that Kyle Lowry going to Villanova gave a big impact for the Philly kids.
Definitely. And I kind of like grew up under Kyle, played for his AAU program, his organization. Like, I was at his draft party as a kid, you know what I mean? So I kind of seen his whole journey, you know what I mean, from like high school to Villanova to the NBA. And it was kind of like the same path I wanted to be on. I thought I was the same size, you know what I mean, same build, same style. So it kind of made sense for me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Kyle definitely played a big part. Not even that he like talked to me to go to Nova, just watching him and just seeing his path made me want to go there.
So as you started school, how did you feel about the year before you starting was when we went on the 08 Final Four run?
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about that. Being in school, seeing that, already committing, knowing that you want to go there, but also it's one thing to commit, but then when you sign on the dotted line, just seeing everything. Like, how was that all?
Crazy, man. Because before you sign and stuff like that, and before you get there, you hear the family atmosphere, you hear about the culture and things like that, but you really don't understand it until you get there. So like when those guys won, it was crazy because I came up to visit, like just the school couple like after that a little bit, just to be on campus.
Right.
And Coach Wright was still acting like nothing happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think people don't understand. That's the special thing about Villanova. Like you never get too high, never get too low. Like it's always the same blue collar mindset. Even now that it's became a blue blood. You know what I mean? It's still the blue collar mindset. And I think Coach Wright does a great job of that. Just not even letting you celebrate too much. Not, you know what I mean? Just always staying even kill about everything that's going on around you.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I remember we went through the biggest lull, and all of a sudden we made that Sweet 16 run, which was huge for the campus at that time and for the program. And we did the Elite Eight the following year. And I remember both years, especially the Sweet 16 run, as excited as everyone was and the whole entire fan base, we were walking through campus, and you couldn't tell what was going on. So we were walking and everything was normal, but then we get into class, and I think it was Tom Arvanites. He just paused in the middle of his intro, and he said, "First, let's give our basketball team a round of applause." And everyone was like erupted, like, "Yeah!" And then we went right back to business. And I think that's what's so big about Villanova. There are just so many different facets of the university that is outside of sports that we're very successful, especially when it comes to business and Wall Street.
Yeah.
So I think if you get too high, or if you start reading too much into your newspaper clippings, or for lack of a better terminology, start smelling yourself, that they'll let you know.
Definitely let you know. And Coach Wright will let you know. Coach Wright will let you know. You know what I mean? He's great at that. Just keeping you level-headed. Like, not letting you get ahead of yourself, not letting you think you're bigger than the program. And I think that's why it's so successful.
So now take us to your freshman year. You're starting school, and what was everyone has a welcome to Villanova or welcome to the Big East moment. What was yours?
It happened fast. It happened like my first week on campus. So my first week on campus, we were playing like open gym. So I was just excited. You know what I mean? My first week on school, Scotty Reynolds there, Corey Fisher, So we had like a good recruiting class that year. So we were playing against them open gym, and Coach Wright just so happened to peek in for a second. And I was like I had like said something to Scotty, not like crazy, but I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like excited, like Coach Wright pulled me upstairs. "That's my captain. Don't you ever do that. You are a freshman here. Jason Fraser, Randy Foy, Oliver, we built this. You respect the older guys." I'm like, oh wow, you know what I mean? And after that, from that day, I just was like, that's what we do here. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what we do here. We respect our older guys. You know what I mean? We don't do it. That's what we do. So I think like that was good for me in a sense. Like it happened early, and then from there, I just kind of had an understanding of what Villanova basketball really was all about.
So as you started rolling with everything, right? What were some of your most memorable moments as a team, and also as individual accomplishments? Because most people that are listening understand you were one heck of a player. You had some huge games. But what stood out to you the most? What's some of the things that you hold dear to your heart?
Man, really just like the good and the bad. I have to say, like you know what I mean? On my time we went to the NCAA tournament twice, but something I really, really hold on my first 2 years, especially my sophomore year and my freshman year, we started off the year like 20-1 or something like that. Like 20-1, like number 2 in the country, and things like that. And it was a great ride. Like it was like, both times we were excited. Everything was going good. Everything was everything. You know what I mean? We was winning, so you couldn't really see the flaws. But Coach Wright would always tell us, like, man, listen, like you guys, I see a lot wrong. You guys are winning right now. It's gonna, you know what I mean? It's gonna get tough for you. Like you're not gonna just be 20-1. And when that started happening, we lost a couple games in a row, both years. But the way we responded and the way we came even closer together, you know what I mean? Even through the toughest time, that was like a real memorable time for me in college. Like just to deal with the adversity and just to see how we still was close and how everybody on the outside was like killing us, like, you know what I mean? Because of what was going on, but we was able to stay together and come closer as brothers. And, you know what I mean? I still got some of my best friends to this day.
That's great. That's great. And that whole entire atmosphere and that whole entire family unit. I remember, multiple practices just hearing the same thing. And like you said, those are the things that you remember the most. And I think looking at this current team, you see that. You see that they started off strong. They had a loss. They rebounded back well. Now they were battle tested in a different way, from a psychological way, against the Georgetown game, because you have that long-standing rival, the Villanova-Georgetown rival. The games are never easy, regardless of the talent level on both teams. And, they thumped us hard. And then we played a tough Butler team. And now we got St. Joe's today.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Yeah, that's how that goes. I think the thing with Coach Wright, he helps kids understand the importance of those games. Because, you may go to school, you don't really understand the importance of the rivalry, especially as a young kid, you know what I mean? But I think we do a great job of that, and especially going on the road. Like, I was really impressed with that win at Texas. Like, Texas is a really good team.
Yes. And
to get that win down there, like, you know what I mean, to be somewhat a young team, that's what I call us. I think we pretty much a young. We got Colin and some other older guys, but we got some really young guys that's contributing a lot. So I think that was real promising to go into Texas, get that win.
What did you like? What were your takeaways? What was the biggest thing conceptually, or you saw an individual player or players do something? What was your biggest take from that Texas game that you like so much?
I really like how Colin is leading. Like I really do. Like I like if he's scoring a lot, like whatever he can be scoring a lot, he just can be leading. He can be, just doing little things to help us win. Like, he has everybody playing Villanova basketball, and he's a senior, and you can tell he's not just playing for himself. You know what I mean? He's playing for everybody, and it's working for him. You know what I mean? For our team and things like that. So that's what I'm really impressed with right now. The way he's just responding as a senior and leading. You know what I mean? Because I know how hard it is to lead. You know what I mean? You got to put your team first, and you got to be selfless. So, and to be a senior and do that, that's really like a special thing to do.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think if you look at it in terms of productivity, it sounds like he's averaging 10 more points his senior year, but I think the way he's getting his buckets stand out the most, because there's multiple games where he started scoring in the second half, which meant
like he does it when we need it. He does it when he's needed. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's he's taking over when he needs to take over. He makes great like plays off the ball, things like that. He gets in that lane and like sets everybody up. So yeah, he's doing a real good job as a senior, really leading his team.
As a guard yourself, speak to how difficult that is, the pressures that come with being a guard that people don't realize. Like, what goes into your mindset? Because think about it, you have the ball, you have to make sure everyone's in the right place. You got to, if someone is out of sync, it really kind of falls on your shoulder if you start to play too early. Speak about that as a guard, that what Colin is doing so well. Like, bring everyone deeper into that.
See, like, because people don't understand, like, especially Coach Wright. I don't know how other coaches are, but Coach Wright holds his guards accountable. Like, you know what I mean? He holds everybody accountable.
Right.
Especially a senior guard, captain. Like, he holds you to a whole different type of accountability. And to be able to deal with that, I know what it takes to go into that day to day. Like, if you having a bad game, Jay, Coach Wright gonna come to me and get on me and make sure that I can figure out a way to get Jay going. Or if, you know what I mean, if something's going on in the classroom or one of my teammates aren't happy, I got to make sure that they're good that way. Like, I had a roommate, my freshman year, Mutayaro, he got sick. I don't know if you remember that. Our freshman year, but Coach Wright came to me. Like, I was a freshman in college. I wasn't really like, yo, move from Africa. You from the area, we're going to have to move you out of the room because he's sick, but I want you to let him have your TV. You know what I mean? I want you to be selfless like that. You're a point guard. Like, that's going to create a different type of respect for him and a bond. And I'm like, all right, cool. I wasn't even thinking of it, but I didn't have a TV. My big man did, but I was just trying to, like, that's the thing that point guards have to do to make, your other guys comfortable, and you're a leader of the team, and you're kind of like the extension of Coach Wright off the court. You know what I mean? So, like, when he's really good, when Coach Wright has his really good teams, he has really good examples of that, like Jalen and Colin, and I think and Ryan, you know what I mean? Those guys are basically an extension of him, you know what I mean? So once he got those guys to accept that accountability, and they get everybody else to, and you have, the sky's the limit for Nova teams.
Interesting. So that's a unique perspective, an accurate one, but a very unique one that I like listening to. Just hearing that the successful teams, there's been a ton of them, but the success and everyone is all excited about. They did have the point guards that were just a legendary, the point guards that made the best out of opportunity. And to your point, what you said was an extension of the coach. I just like the continuity between this team. And again, it starts and ends with Colin. To your point, I like Samuels, as a leader too, like just playing his role. And every time I get a chance to talk to him, there's just something about him that I like, because I look at it, coming through from a development perspective through the G League. I always see players like where they can be and how to, in the NBA, when the court opens up, certain players flourish. And I think Sam is that kind of type of player. But like you said, with the leadership, Colin is doing an amazing job. So what do you think about
Robinson Earl for sure? He's like a stud. Yeah, I definitely, he's a stud. He's a big anchor what we're doing right now. And the way he coming back shooting it, I didn't know, like he's shooting it really, really well. He's playing really well. I'm excited about this team. I wish we can be going to the games and watching because I'm home, but it's unfortunate. But I definitely am excited about this team.
So how do you think that helps Colin game, Robinson Earl being able to hit the outside shot? And obviously he's a stud in the post where you see him in the mid range, and then he's a very respectable deep three threat as well. What does that do for a point guard? Like, what do you take us into mind of what Colin may see or think, and how does that make his game easier to get everyone else involved?
I mean, he's that Jeremiah Robinson, you can't really trap if Colin, if you put him in the pick and roll, you can't trap a pick and roll. You can't really high hedge it hard. You kind of got, a little bit you can, but you got to get right back to Jeremiah Robinson Earl because he can shoot it so well and he can make plays. You know what I mean? So Colin is off a pick and roll coming off. He has all different kind of options because you can't leave Jeremiah Robinson. You got shooters, Swider, and all those guys around. So, Colin's coming off with just a number of options, and then he can shoot himself, so you can't go under, so you got to go over top, which makes it easier for him to get in the paint and be able to play off 2 feet how we do and distribute. But I think he's doing like a really good job with that because it's so easy to get caught up because like sometimes when he come off, he's over the top. He's like open a lot. Whereas though he can I had that problem a lot. Like I was a scorer mindset, so I would come off and realize I'm open. And then just take the first one available to take the one that I'm taking. But Colin does a great job. Like, whereas though he might hit 2 in a row and know he can make another one, but had that patience and that pace to find Robinson Earl or find Samuels, and like he makes the right decision every time. So I like that. I'm really impressed with him with that.
Yeah, it's a good point I just bring up because we saw time over again and again where Colin comes off the screen, especially when it's off of Jeremiah. You as a big, I know if I have a shooting big. I can, I'm stunting. All I can do is stunt because my guy's popping to the 3-point line. And then to your point, Colin can shoot. Most times he's the best shooter on the court out of both teams. So you have to go over the top, which then creates what? Help side from the strong side or a deep pull from the opposite side. We get a ton of corner threes.
Yeah, your corner man open. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, like the way we playing it is I think it's perfect. We getting a ton of corner threes, like you said, and we got corner 3 makers, like corner 3 shot makers, like Swider and Robinson Earl. Like those guys can really shoot it, and they like both 6'9", 6'10", so that's a plus.
Okay, so what do you think about today's game? You know what they feeling. It's it don't matter. It doesn't matter how well you played. It doesn't. Like I said previously on a previous episode, I said that. LaSalle for us, LaSalle was real down as a program when I was playing, but when we played them, they became 40-minute All-Americans. So so what do you think? What do you think is going on in the minds of the players today? Speak about the atmosphere. Bring everyone into the intensity that's happening today, regardless of COVID. They're playing against St. Joe's, playing at Villanova. What does that feel like?
That's the holy war. Like it's serious. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know about now. Like, but I know, like when we were in high school, like not high school, college, like it was like a vibe, like where you really like didn't even like each other, not necessarily like as people, but I didn't even know those guys, you know what I mean? But it's just like the atmosphere on the court is like we just don't like each other, you know. And it's just like, and like you said, those guys make shots that they will never make. You go through a scouting report, and then there'd be a guy come out and he's just hot that day, or they doing something different that day, and they're gonna play, like you said, a 40-minute All-American, and like they just lost to Drexel. So I know they're going to come out at a whole different level of, you know what I mean, of intensity because, they don't want to be embarrassed by us. So, that's going to be a tough game today. It's going to be tougher than people think. Like, I know when you look at college basketball and they just lost to Drexel, I don't think St. Joe's won a game yet. You know what I mean? But that doesn't really matter when it comes to Big Five, especially St. Joe's Nova. Like,
I'll spare this assistant coach, I won't say names, but he has scouted LaSalle one game, and there literally was a guy who played 9 minutes on a year, hit us for like 4 threes.
right. Yeah. Jay, that's how it be in them Big Five games, man. The Big Five games, you don't know where dude come from. Real.
Something else, man. So, so here it is, you went to school, you're going through everything that they're going through now, and you continue that tradition. I was so proud of you. I was so proud. I remember I saw you at the Summer League a few years after that when you were playing, and I was so proud of you though at the time because you continue that tradition of we don't got to be drafted. Like it don't matter if we go undrafted. It don't matter if we go first round, second round. When you get a Villanova basketball player on your team, you get a ball player. You get someone who earn his keep. So here it is. You jumped in and you was with the Sixers. And now here you with the Sixers and you had a young Jrue Holiday. How was that experience being on that team? Because that was after I believe Andre Iguodala had left at that point.
Yeah,
right?
that was like he got traded for that was the Bynum year and all that. But it was cool, man. It was great being home. It was tough being home too, in a sense, just being a rookie, being undrafted. People just hear NBA and they think you got so much where you really, like I said, I'm in the NBA, but I'm still making it. Like you know what I mean? Every day I'm on pins and needles, and being in your city, being in my city, and just who I was in my city, who I am in my city, it was kind of like hard to be a kid that's making it when people are treating you like the guy. When I know I'm not the guy, you know what I mean? But I know I got a long way to go. But you know what I mean? From the outside, the games are people coming to see me, things like that. But just that experience with Jrue Holiday, man, like it really like helped me. Cause that year I was with Jrue and then I was with CP to finish the year. So I got to see 2 all-star point guards just in 1 year. It really, like, I mean, basketball was but just to see their routine and just their work ethic every day, like their routines were crazy. Like CP does the same exact thing every single day. Jrue Holiday does the same exact thing. Like they work, like they get to practice at 8 o'clock in the morning, practice start at 12, like they there at 8. So so now like it just toward me, like, well, I gotta be there before them. I have at least have to be, try to be, you know what I mean? So yeah, like them two, they set the precedent for me and what a pro point guard should look like. You know what I mean? So like even myself, like now when I train kids and give back to kids, I kind of like use those guys and what I seen from those guys every day because they're great and they're at the highest level that you can be at. And I've seen that on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? So I kind of like they're pillars to me of what hard work and success looks like when it comes together.
So when you were with Jrue, so you started with Jrue, how was that seen as professionalism? And you talked to the conceptually about dealing with pressures from everyone at home in Philly, because again, Philly, I'm from New York, right? New York, Philly, Chicago, LA. When people say pressure, it means different than pressure elsewhere.
Right.
Talk about a little bit more specifics. When you say people look at you as a guy and have expectations, what exactly does that look like, sound like, and how does a young man feel and navigate dealing with that, starting off in the league, trying to find his way?
I mean, really, it's just all about staying, like having humility, because people like when you like I'm a 19, 20-year-old kid at the time.
Right.
So from the outside looking in, there's 100 people at the game, not necessarily but they from Philly, you know what I mean, things like that, and probably looks to outside looking in is like, what, you know what I mean? He's like, what's going on? Like, why is he's not even playing? He got all these people at the game, but in all reality, I had 4 tickets. You know what I mean? I gave 4 tickets away, and I knew I wasn't supposed to be playing. I was just working. I was just trying to work, but it was just so much going on. Like my team security bringing me in, like, Maalik, you can't have all these guys coming to the game, and it's just like, I don't know these guys. So they just, you know what I mean? I'm from Philly. They come into the game, they saying they know me, but you can look at my ticket list. I had 4 tickets. You know what I'm saying? My mom, my dad, and my 2 best friends, or something like that, or but it wasn't, you know what I mean? It was always like that type of pressure, whereas though, or you know what I mean, people showing up at your house, you got a game and you trying to get ready for this, or people want this, or you know what I mean, somebody wants you to help them with this, whereas though I don't really have it yet to do that. You know what I mean? That first contract, especially when you undrafted and stuff like that, that's really for yourself. You can't take care of nobody with that yet. So, just people from where we're from, the inner cities, they don't really understand that. Like, they just, they see NBA, they see money, they see basketball immediately. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Where they don't understand all of, the things that go into it, where you got to get to that second contract and third contract and things like that. So that was just a little bit of the pressure. I mean, it was definitely a blessing and definitely like a life lesson and stuff like that. It's like everything I go through, like now is bringing it full circle. And, I'm trying to help these kids. I can help me mature a lot. Like, it help me see things for what they really are. And it just helped me just become a better man, father, and just, a coach one day, just to these different kids who's going to deal with those type things. Like, I can understand from your shoes 100%. You know what I mean? So it was good and bad, man. It was pros and cons, everything. But like I said, it's a blessing. That was a dream come true. And I got to live my dream in my city. A lot of people are fortunate enough to do that. And I got to live my dream 2 times in my city, at Villanova and at Sixers. So it was a blessing, man.
You lived in high school.
Yeah, high legendary high school. Yeah, so.
Say that.
Right.
Say that. So I'm sure it must have been alleviated pressure when you went with the Sixers, when you finished there and you saw CP3 and they were dealing with all the labels of the Lob City. How was it being a part of all of that? How was it, like, what was going on? Because the media took over with that. Yeah. Because with the dunks, like, what being in from the inside, how was it being around that? Still trying to figure it out, but being around another great example, CP3, but then also being in Lob City Central.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a crazy, like, it was crazy because I was on the Sixers and I was in the NBA, right? No disrespect to the Sixers organization or anything that was going on at the time. But then when I went to the Clippers, it was like a whole different NBA. It was like a totally different, like, just atmosphere, facilities, just trainer, just the way they went about everything day to day. And we weren't that really good on the Sixers. And then with the Clippers, we were like conference champions. We won like 56 games or something like that. And it was just a different vibe. Like I'm telling you, it was all vets. You know what I mean? It was all veterans, all like guys who were really like all-stars almost at one point. So,
yeah. And even those who weren't all-stars, who should have been all-stars, but you had LO on that team too, right?
Right, like LO. But I'm saying even guys like Antoine Jameson was the end of the bench with me. Karam, you know what I'm saying? Like Grant Hill and Ronnie Turioff and things like that. Like that was, so I just learned so much about just life in the business of basketball and just things. Like every day was like a tutor session, like literally for 2 years, because I didn't play. But I really couldn't even figure out why I was there. We had so many guys, like, you know what I mean? I was like, but they signed me, they liked me, like everybody took a liking to me. I mean, I showed up to work every day. I did my part. I just really never got the opportunity to play. So I can't even really say if I was good enough or, you know what I mean? And then once I finally got my opportunity that next year, I ended up tearing my knee. But like I said, Jay, it was a tutoring session for life, man. Every day, this is what how they handle life, how they like deal with their families, how they took care of their families. Because all those guys were married at the time. It was just how they were fathers, how they like CP, like he makes sure he drop his kids off to school every morning. He get his work in and make sure he pick them up. You know what I mean? Like stuff like this, stuff like that I seen from them, or just the way they conducted themselves. They all were professional. You know what I mean? Like even LO was going through what he was going through at the time. He was still professional, still staying true to himself, like still trying to deal with all that. And that's a lot to deal with. You know what I mean? So I learned a lot of humility and just different things from them, because we had a lot of different things going on outside our team. You know what I mean? A lot of different things. Just, you know what I mean? Like you got LO dealing with Chloe, so that's this thing. Then you got Blake got a million commercials. You got Karan Butler. He getting older, but he want to start. But then we got a young guy that probably should start. And you know what I mean? Then we got Doc and CP, who is like a power balance. Like, you know what I mean? It's so much going on. Then we had the Donald Sterling thing with all that stuff that happened with the
You gotta talk. Hey, you gotta talk about it. You gotta give me something. You gotta let me know, like, how crazy was that?
No, look, it was crazy because I actually had surgery during the time. So I had came back home to have surgery when all the stuff came out. So I woke up and we had like a group message to what was going on, and they was just figuring out how they was gonna deal with it. You know what I mean? And all the guys were on the fence. Guys didn't even want to play. Guys, you know what I mean? Guys, but we had to. And I was away for that. It was just a weird situation, man, because like he was cool. Like not like he was cool, but I mean, like you would never get that from, like he was like Christmas presents for the team. Like always had different like presents in the locker room for the team. Like told you it was a first class organization as a player. Anything that you needed, you had access to. So I feel like that's a part of the higher ups. Like, you know what I mean? They give us that access. So it was just a weird situation when all that came out, man. Like, because I really thought that the Clippers were trying to turn the tide at the time. Like, you know what I mean? That was like the first couple of years where they were trying to like get to where they are now. And it was happening. And then all that happened. And it just kind of like went down, man. But it was a good time there. Like I just living in LA, just being around all those guys. I created relationships that, you know, for till now, I got those relationships and they're beneficial. You know what I mean? So like
especially during coming out of preseason, practices are still intense. That man, Antoine Jameson, you put Antoine Jameson, Caron Butler, G Hill, CP3, Lamar Odom, DeAndre Jordan, Griffin. Like how was practice? You try, like, was people getting banged on? Like, but that's crazy to me. Like, how was practice?
You know what's crazy? Because our first year of practice was I got there like kind of late. Practice, we was going into the playoffs.
Right,
we kind of like chill. And then the next year, like Doc really not a big practice guy. It's more like you might practice for like 30 minutes live, you know what I mean, something like that. But Doc more so like get your work in by yourself. We come in as a team, we do little things, and then it's more so he big on rest, sleep, like mental stuff, like the big mental aspect. But like when we used to hoop and get it on, like it'd be the fives would be you have like Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Blake, DeAndre, and I don't know, Caron Butler. Then the next five would be Eric Bledsoe, Jamal Crawford, Chauncey Billups, like Ronnie Turiaf, Ryan Hollins. Then the third five would be me, Grant Hill, DeJuan Summers. Like our team was crazy, man. Like practice used to be crazy. Like it was.
You know any practices where someone got banged on bad or someone got dropped? Like CP3 and Jamal Crawford? Are you kidding me? Like,
before, for sure. One practice was crazy. He was bringing it up, right? I was playing in full court because that was my thing. Like I never did that in college. When I got to the league, like that was my calling card. Like I could play full court defense. I can, you know what I mean? I could push the pace. I could do things like that. So once that happened for me, once I got in there and I was with CP, I was trying to pick him up full court one day.
Right.
You know, certain days he used to just bring it up, like. But one day, man, he just went. He was just going crazy. He was just pulling out every move, like. And I'm trying to. One day I just went down, but I got up like nothing happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I always see him do it in the games and stuff like that. But in practice, like he never really, you know what I mean? He practiced a different type of way. But it was like, yeah, but we used to play 1-on-1 every day. Me, CP, Chauncey, Jamal Crawford, Eric Bledsoe. Every day we play 1-on-1. Like 5-7 spots.
So who used to get it back? It's crazy to may seem. So CP3 has a great career, right? But Chauncey's a problem. Chauncey is a problem. How was that? And then you and Bled in the mix. How was and Bled? People don't realize that's when Bled was like super athletic for his size and everything else, and he was always strong.
Like, you know, he was cut up crazy. Like, you know, Bled. Were you a Phoenix with Bled at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how Bled like a pit bull.
Yeah.
It used to be crazy, like because you got Jamal and all
his
everything he got on offense.
Right.
I ain't even throwing like Willie Green. We had Willie Green there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it was them battles was epic, man. But CP, I ain't gonna lie, like in 1-on-1, he like him and Chauncey, they real because they so strong and they got them like post games as point guards. You know what I mean? But we definitely had our days though. I used to get my days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, get them. But yeah, them dudes, that was like battles every day. Like, and just the knowledge that they got, like just like they're like coaches almost on the court. You know what I mean? They know everything about basketball. Like before it happens, like, you know what I mean? They just like geniuses almost. And that's really like, I don't think people understand that, man, but that's really just the highest level of basketball, period. Like when you go to them high level of basketball, and you got it's like a team full of geniuses, like basketball geniuses, like literally, you know, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like you're a basketball genius. Like you went at the highest level, you play for the highest level of coaches, and then our experiences over time just help us, you know what I mean? Things like that. So just to see those guys who are at even another level is like crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Do you remember anything from the like certain games where you looked and you was like, wow, like when you seen CP3 or Chauncey seeing like a play 3 steps ahead and then manipulating, the defense. Like, do you remember any games or any certain plays that remind you of that?
I need a certain play. When DeAndre Jordan dunked on Brandon Knight.
Yeah.
Like even if you pay attention to the play, like CP3 doesn't throw the ball nowhere near the rim. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you pay attention to it, if you ever seen a regular person throw a lob, like the lob goes towards the rim.
Right.
Like CP throw the lob to where though you can catch it, do whatever you want with it. And that's just like that type. I'm like wow, like he threw the lob backwards. And that's why DeAndre was able to catch it and do what he was able to do with it. But just little details like that, like he passes you open. Like he might pass to a spot that you gotta like meet the ball at, and then you get open. Like he'll pass a guy open. And that's like a crazy skill mental to have just to be able to do that. And I picked up on that.
Nice. So tell everybody right now what you up to, how things going, what's new. Because you know us Wildcats, we love hearing about each other, the current events, and support one another.
So don't get mad at me. I'm coaching basketball at St. Joe's Prep High School.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, before you even go, I'll say this. So I've learned out something. Jameer Nelson had got drafted, and it was his first summer back, and he was playing. We were actually upstairs at Jake Nevin Fieldhouse, right. And him and Randy. You know what you said. Like when you play, it's like I don't like that guy, right? But when you graduate, it's like we're one city or we're one fraternity. It's like all right. It's almost like being in house. When you're in house with your own brother, with your own siblings, you fighting, and then when you walk outside the house, you're one family. No one better say.
Right.
So I get it, man. So go ahead. So you coaching? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm coaching there, and I'm working with it. I'm coaching also a Nike EYBL AAU program called New Jersey Scholars Elite. Got some really good players. Got some top guys that's probably going to be Big East type prospects, ACC level prospects, things like that. And then training. I'm opening my own gym in the city, Philadelphia, right up in the Northeast Philly. I got my own gym opening, and it'll be done in about a month. And I'm just gonna be having different the name of my gym, T2G, Train to Go Training Academy. So
say that again for everybody.
Train to Go Training Academy. So T2G Training Academy. And I'm opening that up, and I got some training things going on. I'm at a league coming, about to have some leagues going on. Different mentorship programs that I'm about to have out of my gym. Just different programs that I'm trying to help kids in my area, reach out, like my resources, college coaches, and different things to just help these kids just, further their basketball and just to, do it the right way and make sure they know being a student athlete is important and character is even more important. That's the number one thing. I want these kids to know, like, you can be a great student athlete, but you also have to have great character. You know what I mean? It got to go hand in hand. So that's what I'm trying to teach to these kids.
That's good, man. That's right there. So everyone who hears this, understand you got a Villanova legend, you got a Philadelphia legend, you got a Roman Catholic legend who's there integrating his community, who is trying to uplift his community furthermore and accentuate or put on a platform the greatness that's within there at T2G Train to Go Training Academy. Yep. Make sure you go get your kids involved with Maalik Wayns, because he's a great guy, he's a great father, and he's a great friend. So Maalik, we really appreciate you joining us for this episode. We end one way only, and you know how it is. Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. Peace up, baby. Appreciate you. Love.
Love always, Jay. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me.
All right, take care.
You too.